Well, folks, you remember that time when we were told that if same-sex marriage became the law of the land, it shouldn't bother you in any way. It shouldn't change your life in any way. Well, now it turns out that in Massachusetts, if you're a Roman Catholic couple and you want to adopt, Massachusetts will just tell you no because you're too mean to LGBTQ plus minus divided by sign. The state of Massachusetts has now essentially barred anybody from adopting in their state if they have traditional values. According to William McGurn, writing for the Wall Street Journal, the Massachusetts Department of Children and Families' decision to deny Michael and Kitty Burke's foster care application comes less than a decade after the Supreme Court's ruling in Obergefell versus Hodges, which, of course, suggested that same-sex marriage was enshrined in the Constitution of the United States. In a dissent, you'll remember Justice Alito raised a red flag, saying that basically this is going to be used to vilify all Americans who don't buy into the new orthodoxy. He says, quote, "In the course of its opinion, the majority compares traditional marriage laws to laws that denied equal treatment for African Americans and women. The implications of this analogy will be exploited by those who are determined to stamp out every vestige of dissent. The Burkes are a loving couple who sought to adopt through the state's foster care program. Burke, Mr. Burke, deployed to Iraq as a Marine. Mrs. Burke is a former paraprofessional for kids with special needs." This is like a pretty good background for kids, for parents who want foster care. "They're willing to accept children of any race, culture, or ethnicity, as well as some special needs. They would even take siblings. The state denied them. Why? Because it says that Kitty and Mike are devoutly Roman Catholic and not only attend church with regular frequency, they both work for local churches as musicians. This meant that they could not be trusted with children. The author of their license study said that they are lovely people, but she said their faith is not supportive, and neither are they with regard to LGBT issues. Ultimately, the license review team concluded the Burkes, quote, would not be affirming to a child who identified as LGBTQIA, and the Burkes were then rejected. So, just to get this absolutely straight, you have kids who've been abandoned by their families and are living in orphanages, and instead of giving them to a loving foster care family with a two-parent family, the father was a veteran and the mother is a professional who deals with special needs kids. You're going to leave that special needs kid in the orphanage because the special needs kid might in fact be gay, and then the parents are going to be mean. That is what we are now saying in the state of Massachusetts. And live and let live is a lie. Somebody's standard has to apply here. The notion that a full-scale liberalism, a morally relativistic liberalism, ends with everybody being treated equally is not true. It is not true. There has to be some common standard of good, particularly when it comes to kids. Any state that says that the measure of good parenting is whether you believe the left's newest nonsense with regard to same-sex marriage, that is not a moral standard at all. It's the reverse. Basically, the state of Massachusetts says it is now better for a child to have no mother or father than it is to have a Roman Catholic couple adopt the kid. That's what they're now saying. So remember, in the state of Massachusetts, they basically had to shut down all Catholic adoption agencies in the state of Massachusetts because they weren't giving out kids to same-sex couples, saying a child deserves a mother and a father. Now we've come so far that a mother and father can't adopt a child if they say a child deserves a mother and a father. This is how far we've gone in the state of Massachusetts. Is that good for kids? According to the left, it is, because it's much more important that kids be indoctrinated into the new cult of LGBTQIA plus minus divided by sign than that they have an actual stable family situation with a mom and a dad. This is crazy. So Beckett Law is now suing the state. I assume the Burkes will win their case, but the chilling effects wouldn't be fully mitigated by the victory, said David Rivkin, a constitutional lawyer who has served in the DOJ and the White House counsel's office. This is what's so bad about these policies. So, we kept hearing over and over again, how does a same-sex marriage affect you? This is the answer. When society changes its entire standard, that affects an enormous number of people, including, of course, children. Simple fact of the matter, you need life insurance. If you're a responsible human being, you need to make sure that your loved ones are taken care of in case, God forbid, you're walking down the street, get hit by a bus. Well, this is why I have life insurance. I have lots of life insurance on me, but the best place for you to get life insurance would be Policy Genius. Policy Genius makes it easy to compare life insurance quotes from top companies and find your lowest price. I'm telling you from personal experience, it is super satisfying to check that life insurance off your to-do list. Getting covered can be even more satisfying when you use Policy Genius. With Policy Genius, you can find life insurance policies starting at just $25 per month for $1 million in coverage. Some options offer coverage in as little as a week and avoid those unnecessary medical exams. Policy Genius's licensed agents work for you, not the insurance companies, which means they don't have an incentive to recommend one insurer over another, so you can actually trust their guidance. There are no added fees. Your personal information remains private. Your loved ones deserve a financial safety net, and you deserve a smarter way to find and buy it. Head on over to policygenius.com/Shapiro or click that link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes. See how much you could save. That's policygenius.com/Shapiro. Again, policygenius.com/Shapiro. Make sure that your family is taken care of in case, God forbid, something should happen to you. It's an easy thing to do, and it's a responsible thing to do. Head on over to policygenius.com/Shapiro. We have a wonderful doggo. His name is Happy. Happy is just the sweetest doggo. He's now, he's getting to be a big boy, our Happy, and we want him to maintain his health. This is why we give him Rough Greens every morning. The dog food you've been giving your dog is dead food. It doesn't have very much nutritional value. Look at it. That brown food doesn't exactly scream at nutritional, but green food does. Rough Greens boosts Happy's food back to life. You can do the same for your dog as well. You don't have to go out and buy new dog food. Just sprinkle Rough Greens on their food every day. It contains all the necessary vitamins and minerals that your dog is not getting from their regular dog food. Happy loves his Rough Greens. He eats it every day. Rough Greens is the only supplement Happy asks for by name. Yet it's Rough Greens, like rough. It's a pun. Naturopathic doctor Dennis Black, the founder of Rough Greens, is so confident this product will improve your dog's health. He's offering my listeners a free Jumpstart trial bag. Go to roughgreens.com/Ben. Let Rough Greens bring your dog's food back to life. That's ruffgreens.com/Ben today, or call 833-MY-DOG-33. That's 833-MY-DOG-33. Rough Greens is Happy's delight. He really enjoys it. Your dog will too. Head on over to roughgreens.com/Ben today, or call 833-MY-DOG-33. I have to say, it is pretty impressive how the Biden administration is just spitting directly in the face of the Supreme Court of the United States. So you'll recall that the Supreme Court banned affirmative action policies to any sort of institution that gets federal money. They said it's a violation of the Equal Protection Clause, which it pretty clearly is. Well, now, Miguel Cardona, the education secretary, these are the rule of law people. These are the people who must establish rule of law, folks. Rule of law. Trust in our institutions. Also, we don't like what the Supreme Court did, so we're just going to pretend they didn't do it. Miguel Cardona said nothing in this court's decision denied the value of diversity in education. Institutions can continue or start to do targeted outreach and recruitment in underserved communities, collect and consider demographic data, and run programs to consider the retention and success of students of diverse backgrounds. I'm not sure how that isn't affirmative action. Isn't that just making decisions on the basis of race? Associate Attorney General Vanita Gupta said, quote, colleges and universities can and should continue to ensure their doors are open to those students of all backgrounds, including students of color, who possess the characteristics necessary to succeed and contribute on college campuses. Described by officials from the Departments of Education and Justice as a guide to the current legal framework of the use of racial diversity, the resources released on Monday clarify and expand on the Biden administration's interpretation of the Supreme Court's decision. They say, quote, institutions of higher education remain free to consider any quality or characteristic of a student that bears on the institution's admission decision, such as courage, motivation, or determination, even if the student's application ties that characteristic to their lived experience with race. So basically, they're no longer going to be able to ask, are you black or white on the application? They're just going to rely on you to write in your essay that you've had it really tough because you're black. And then they're going to wink and they're going to nod and they're going to go ahead with exactly what they were doing before. Now, again, is the Supreme Court going to let people get away with that? I think it's going to be very difficult for them to get away with that. If it turns out that black students are on average still getting into Ivy League universities with SAT scores 200 to 300 points below those of Asian and white students, I do not see how the Supreme Court doesn't come back and slap down what the Biden administration is trying to do here. But they're so invested in racial discrimination that they're spitting directly in the face of the Supreme Court. The Education Department's guidance on Monday also encouraged colleges and universities to increase access for underserved populations, and noted universities could re-examine whether policies for legacy admissions run counter to efforts to promote equal opportunity. That's fine with me. You want to get rid of legacies? That's fine with me. But can we stop pretending that you guys actually care about legacies? What you actually care about is continued racial discrimination. Are you tired of the lies and the twists of the mainstream media talking points? Yeah, me too. Join me in my newest series, Fact, where I dismantle and bring truth to this tiring mainstream agenda.